So I am going to open the meeting because it is 7 o'clock. And we're conducting this meeting, which is the Tuesday, September 9, 2025 meeting of the Dartmouth Conservation Commission remotely. And we're doing so as a result of Governor Healy on March 28, 2025, extending the hybrid remote meeting options to municipalities. She extended that through June 30, 2027. Our meeting does allow for public interaction, and that would be through the raise your hand feature at the bottom, or make some kind of a motion like waving your hand if that doesn't work, and you will be recognized and allowed to speak. This meeting was properly and duly posted and noticed, so it is being conducted in accordance with both state law and Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The commissioners present, like I said earlier, there are four, and that would be James, Nat, Megan, and myself. Unless somebody just came in and I missed them. I just heard it ring.
Liz is in.
Liz is now in. So we have five commissioners. An affirmative vote this evening will require 4 votes to pass. So we'll take 4 out of the 5 commissioners voting affirmatively for the applicant's petition to be successfully granted. That being said, I am going to move on to the administrative items, and the first administrative item is the approval of the meeting minutes for August 12, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The second item administratively is the approval of the field trip reports of August 26, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our final administrative item is to receive the minutes of August 26, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a second on the motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We're now moving on to our field trip reports, and we have 2. The first is a request for determination of applicability, RDA 25-12, from Eddie Lopez, care of Alphonse Kaka, to construct a new 3-bedroom single-family home along with a new septic system, driveway, site grading on the subject property. The work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicable regulations, 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, as well as section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 56, lot 17-6. It's otherwise known as 9 Digger Drive. Mark, I'll certainly be interested in hearing staff's comments on this request.
Yeah, this is largely an upland site. The wetlands are a drainage wetland that runs along the north side of I-195 from west to east, discharging into, it's a vegetated wetland, discharging into a larger wetland condition to the east. The proposal proposes minimal grading within the outer edge of the buffer zone. Staff has evaluated the site and recommends a -3 determination to include our erosion control device condition.
Thank you. Any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination subject to our erosion control device conditions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The second field trip report is also a request for determination of applicability. RDA 25-13 is from Elizabeth Temkin, care of David DeVignan, to construct a screen porch, reconstruct the flagstone patio and walkway, and install a drainage pipe and trap rock plunge pool, a portion of which is within the 200-foot riverfront area, in parentheses, outer riparian zone, close parentheses. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.58, and section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 18, lots 26 and 27, known as 32 Wadsworth Lane. Mark, what is staff's recommendation for this request?
Yes, this is all landscaping work at the upper end of the site. It is in the 200-foot buffers, the 200-foot riverfront area, but is the outer riparian, the second 100 feet, and within the outer riparian, it's the second half, or the 150 to 200 foot area. The site is already developed. It's fixing up some stonework and adding a few landscaping features. Work is minimal, should not have an effect on the river or the riverfront area, since most of the riverfront area is developed lawn area. Therefore, staff is recommending a -2 determination, as it is in a resource area, the riverfront area, with our standard erosion control device condition.
Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a -2 determination subject to our standard erosion control device conditions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We've concluded the field trip reports. We're now moving on to our public hearings. And the public hearings are on pages 1 and 2 of the agenda. There are 5. The first public hearing is a continued public hearing, DEP file 15-2763, NOI 24-53, on the notice of intent from Carl M. Furman for the proposed demolition of a single-family residence and soil absorption system, and the reconstruction of a new single-family residence, soil absorption system, utilities, and site work on a barrier beach, coastal dune, both within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within the 100-foot buffer zone to a salt marsh. The regulations involved are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.27, 10.28, 10.29, 10.32, as well as section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 87, lot 20. It's otherwise known as 13 Smith Avenue. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. And I see Mr. Sharon is here. Rick, if you would unmute yourself, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to everyone. First, I want to thank the commission for allowing us as much time as you have to try to research the regulations and to try to answer the questions that have been brought up on this project. And I will try to keep it brief tonight because you guys have listened to me for a long time and you're probably tired of it. Let me just say, as an overview, we're trying to replace a 120-year-old house and garage with a flood zone compliant pile supported house. We have up to 4 feet of sandy fill proposed with beach grass plantings over a barrier beach and dune. And we intend to put in a new septic system along with the new house. It's our opinion that we meet the performance standards for the coastal dune and barrier beach. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, we have retained the services of a very qualified coastal engineer, Mr. Stan Humphreys, who I believe will speak when I'm done talking about the project. Why do we believe we meet the performance standards? Let me just go through a few other things. With the proposed design of the house up on piles, future storm waves can pass under the new house instead of around or through the house in the worst case. The proposed house construction, we feel, therefore meets and improves the interests of storm damage prevention, not to mention the safety of the occupants. In addition, the scour around the new foundation piles is far less than scour around the existing house and garage. Plus, there's a wall that's out there also, further meeting and improving the interest of storm damage prevention. The proposed sandy fill is going to add height and volume to the existing dune. It's going to improve the interest of storm damage prevention by dissipating waves. It's going to slow down overwash. It's also going to provide a reservoir of additional sand for beach nourishment to meet the performance standards. In addition, removing the existing mowed lawn and replacing that with beach grass vegetative cover and native shrubs is going to contribute to the growth of the dune and the stability. It's going to provide favorable conditions favorable to sand deposition. And as the regulations state, greater dune volume improves flood damage prevention and increased dune stability meets the performance standards. Replacing the existing septic system with a new septic system approved by the Board of Health also improves groundwater quality. So again, it meets another performance standard. In terms of adverse effects, we have addressed the concern that additional dune grass would be, quote, disturbing the vegetative cover so as to destabilize the dune. That's the wording in the regulation that we're supposed to avoid. In this case, however, the bulk of the vegetative cover that we're disturbing is lawn grass. It's not the native beach grasses and with deep roots that capture airborne sand and that we intend to plant to stabilize the dune. So I'm going to say, after months of reviewing these regulations and with the advice and experience that we've received from our coastal geologists, I'm fully able to say that I feel that I can state unequivocally that there are no adverse impacts from this project. We feel the proposed project meets the performance standards for work on the dune. We've also provided the Race Coastal Engineering study and their conclusions about the additional fill, in which they come up with no adverse effects. So I think that's what we've been able to put together over this period of time. This was not something that was fully hatched when we submitted this months ago, and it's taken some time to come to these conclusions and to make the changes on the plan to put us in a position where we can make these statements. But we feel we have done that. So I think at this point, as I said, we have received some very good advice from Mr. Stan Humphreys. You've probably dealt with him in the past, a very well-known coastal geologist, someone we tried to get months ago and simply wasn't available. We were able to get him over the past month and a half. So I believe Mr. Humphreys is on the line and can jump in at this point and give you his impression. Stan, are you available?
Good evening. Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, thank you. And I apologize for not being on the video, just coming in with the audio. I concede that the dune is present, despite the surface characteristics of a very flat topography with no hill, mound, or ridge, and a dominant lawn vegetation, but for a narrow strip of obvious dune vegetation and form between the existing house and Beach Avenue. I focused on the proposed plan with respect to its regulatory compliance and have documented that in a letter addressed to the commission on September 4th. We can discuss any questions you may have about that letter and my position that I've taken. I also have my resume included. But I'd really like to appeal to the common sense of the commission through comparison of 5 main issues and topics. The 2 buildings that exist on the current site occupy about 3,000 square feet. They are literally on the ground. And the proposed reconstruction of the dwelling is going to be elevated above the ground with 27 piles. There is an elevator shaft, compiling an impact of about 60 square feet. Concerning the 100-year flood, the current building has the ability or opportunity to absorb or be impacted by 12 feet of water, essentially eliminating the first floor of these buildings. The proposed project is going to have 3 feet of freeboard, that is entirely out of the floodplain, elevated 3 feet above the BFE. The sewage disposal system is an old cesspool, and it's going to be replaced with a Title V system, as the Board of Health has provided for a variance. And that septic system will be below ground, only susceptible to erosion with the receding shoreline that I believe is eroding at less than a foot a year. Concerning the topography, it is entirely flat right now at about elevation 6, but the proposed fill to be brought in will raise the elevation to about elevation 10. So a rough calculation of that additional 4 feet is about 600 cubic yards of clean sand to form a mounded hill or ridge. And then the vegetation is something to also consider in dune restoration. The existing conditions are predominantly lawn, and the vegetation plan provided by private company locally will include a variety of dune grasses, shrubs, and trees. So my summary of this is that the benefits of this redevelopment project in terms of storm damage prevention and flood control far outweigh any negative effects. There will be no adverse effects caused by the house construction. The approximately 60 square feet is a negligible change with the pilings. All the other activities are consistent with dune activities, namely fill or nourishment, raising up the elevation and forming a hill-mounted ridge. The vegetation is all native and coastal species, adapted for dunes. And the subsurface system, sewage disposal system, is below ground. I wanted to make this short so that I could leave room for questions. I think that Rick summarized the compliance perfectly well. This is the first time that I've had a chance and an opportunity to work with Rick. I think when I first look at plans, I'm looking very specifically for improvements to be made in it. And I found none with this project. Excellent engineering. The planting plan is excellent. And I believe that this project should be approved. I think it would be remiss for the commission not to allow this improvement, particularly with respect to the structure that could be just wiped out in one hurricane. With that, I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Rick, is there anything more that you're team wants to present this evening?
The only comment I would have is that Stan mentioned 3 feet of freeboard, and we submitted our plans under the 9th edition, which required 2 feet of freeboard. So that's the only correction. Other than that, I'm in agreement totally. I believe perhaps our team member, Richard Nyland, may be interested in adding some comments at this point. Chip, do you have anything?
I think Chip Nyland on behalf of the applicant, I think that just to summarize where we are, the regulations are very clear in establishing performance standards. And to determine whether or not you meet the performance standards, as Stan has walked you through, you look at the function of the resource areas under present conditions, under existing conditions, and then you compare them to where you will be at the end after you have constructed your project and you've included your mitigation and as well as the conditions of the commission that are placed. So, we have the advantage of having those performance standards in writing, and we're able to walk through, and Stan has gone through the functions to show you that under existing conditions, we can't perform because we're in the velocity zone with barriers and structures. We can't meet those storm damage and flood control functions. And what you're going to have when you are completed is you will meet those functions. And in addition to that, you're going to have additional dune grass as well as a septic system that is going to improve water quality. And you're also going to have dune grass for a stable area. So we feel very strongly, we thank the commission for giving us the opportunity to do the design, to bring in a coastal geologist and to demonstrate we meet the performance standards. And I think that that's where we feel very strongly that with this design that we've met those performance standards. And as Stan says, the key is whether or not there's no adverse impact. And no adverse impact doesn't mean nothing can happen at the end of the project. It means it can't be it can't be more than a negligible change, which Stan has said that won't take place. So we're here to answer your questions, and we thank you for the time that you've given us to get to this point in the project where we have a project that can be permitted.
I have a question for you, Chip, if you don't mind. Just want to make sure, because I just was wondering if you have a site, whether to the regulation or any case or administrative case you might be familiar with, where you perform the balancing test that you described, which is look at the conditions presently and then look where you'd be after the project were built, and determine whether that's a positive or negative impact. Is there anything you can cite to for that proposition?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a sewer project that was down in Brewster. And the only reason I think of it is because it went to an adjudicatory hearing and there was a decision on it. And what happened was they were installing new sewer line and replacing an existing sewer line. And so they had to remove the pavement. It was a similar dune, that is, it was very flat, had a little bit of sand on top of it. And some of the opponents suggested that when you remove the pavement in order to access the pipes and sewer pipes that had to be removed, that you were actually disturbing a dune, because you're removing the pavement and then removing the piping and then including and inserting new pipes for new sewer line. And what the department said in the case was, no, the question, and ultimately the new line would be replaced, then the pavement would be placed, and then there would be sand on top of it, similar to what it was before. And opponents, some neighbors said, well, no, you're disturbing that area because during the time that the concrete is being removed, there'll be a disturbance and the dune will be exposed. And the DEP ruled, and it was upheld, was that no, what you looked at was what was there before, which was a previously developed area, similar to what we have here, and what you have afterwards, which was a new sewer line with a pavement over it and with sand. So I think that perhaps does that answer your question? Because that's clearly where you looked at the functions before, which in a previously developed area, and the functions afterwards, and that's what you compared. You didn't compare the fact of what does the site look like while the construction's taking place.
Okay, so that's a DEP, is that a published standard or just their practical standard?
It was a DEP case. I mean, I can get you that, I can get you the citation. I've used it in other instances when I've been up on the North Shore and other areas when this question comes up. I can certainly provide you the testimony and the citation to the adjudicatory hearing. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark, I'd like to hear staff's comments on this application.
Certainly. I'm going to summarize, I sent to the commission and I also sent to Rick. I didn't hear back, but I'm sure you got it. My comments related to where I stand on this. And I should say that my comments were made before receiving a copy of Stan's letter. I read Stan's letter and I will get into it. I respect Stan a lot. I don't totally agree with his letter, but we'll get into that in a minute. So I'm going to try to summarize a 4-page memo, as everybody has tried to keep it short. The first thing I need to say is that this project has extended. We are now into our 9th month of back and forth discussion. It was first proposed to us in December of 2024. The plan that was submitted in the original filing was dated December 5th, if I recall correctly. And at that time, the applicant didn't even consider the site to be a coastal dune. I indicated that, and we went back and forth for about a month until the end of January, when they finally conceded that there was a coastal dune. That has also been verified by CZM during the May 15th site visit. And if I understood Stan correctly earlier, he acknowledges that there is a coastal dune out on site. That coastal dune occupies just about the entirety of the site. It is a modified primary frontal coastal dune. It is the front barrier to everything landward. It is also a stable condition. I'm not saying it's a great dune, but it is a stable condition. The structures are out there. They're pre-existing. They probably, under today's regulations, shouldn't and couldn't have been built. And that dune probably should have been left natural. The December 5th plan shows us a site development, which includes the demo of the 2 structures and the reconstruction of the new structure, the proposed structure on piles, with an elevator set on a coastal dune, a subsurface disposal system, and driveway and parking areas under and next to the site. The site disturbance, and I underscore this, the site disturbance on an existing stable coastal dune is going to be destabilized during the construction process. There has been no real functional assessment as to what the dune is doing. Everybody is commenting by observation. I'm asking questions by observation, but it's not my charge to do the assessment. So I am a little concerned that we have construction activities, and maybe down the road, the project, if it lasts long enough, might be beneficial, maybe in equilibrium as the existing project is. But in my opinion, in my professional judgment, that's a long way away. And we're destabilizing vegetation, and we are, for better or worse, the existing structures appear to be holding some stability on that dune. I know that it's been reported that those structures had washed away previously. I think several times in previous storms, especially during the 50s, but the dune is in adequate shape. So I don't know what the necessity is for dune restoration here for the dune's sake. I understand that it may have implications in other areas, but certainly not dune functionality. I think that what is being presented to us is a project that affects the entire coastal dune on the site. And now we're trying to fit in, well, okay, we're working on the dune, but this works, that works, this works. And I'm not sure that's the way we should be approaching it from a permitting standpoint. Second thing I wanted to raise, and I do want to acknowledge this, Rick, you did bring this to my attention when we met last week. There was the question of the property across the street, the Ashdown property, which was a permitted reconstruction, a downsizing of the house. I went back and looked at the plans, and a recontouring of the property. The difference between the Ashdown property immediately across the Smith Avenue at 14 Smith Avenue and the Furman site is that the Ashdown property does not support coastal dune. It supports buffer zones to salt marshes and BVWs on a barrier beach versus a coastal dune situation on the Furman property, and therefore different sites, different resources, different performance standards to be addressed, and largely different projects, although they may seem similar in view. I don't know that the regulations really talk to the allowance of a total demolition and rebuild and redevelopment over an entire primary frontal coastal dune, especially when all of that will destabilize a stable and functional coastal dune that exists currently. I don't particularly believe that the regulations allow for that type of project under 310 CMR 1028-4 or 5, which list allowances and projects that can take place, which would include such things as pedestrian walkways designed to minimize disturbance to the vegetated cover, fencing and other devices designed to increase dune development, plantings compatible with the natural vegetated cover, or accessory structures to pre-existing buildings on the coastal dune. So I've gone through the regulations, and I don't see where total demolition and rebuild and redevelopment of a coastal dune site is allowed. So I don't know that I am not convinced that this project is permittable. I also don't think that the no adverse effect performance standard has been met. Maybe there are some improvements, I will not deny that, but the expanse of this project over the site indicates to me significant alteration, differing grain sizes for shell cover for parking. There was some talk of pavers. That's not conducive. I know that they've done grain size analyses and are stating that they're going to use commensurate grain size, but shell and pavers are not commensurate grain size. So I don't think that's consistent. Over a good portion of the discussion, the project team, in responding to various questions that staff asked, indicated that they were minimizing impact. They did not anticipate impacts, and in one case stated that even using the best management practices, no one could guarantee no impact. That sounds to me like the impact could be adverse effect at the end of the day. In the letter dated August 30th, the project team did a complete turnaround. I'm sure much of that was with discussions with Stan. And again, I respect Stan's opinion. I may not agree with it on this one, but I do respect Stan and his professional opinions. Okay. And I don't, in that letter, I saw no analysis except reading the regs, like I'm reading the regs, and we're coming up with different interpretations. I didn't see any data. I didn't see anything that supported besides, well, this is what we think is going to happen. No demonstration, just statements of fact. Again, the dune is in equilibrium. Currently, a coastal dune assessment should have been issued at the beginning with the initial filing. It shouldn't have come along midway through. And I realized there was a difficulty in contracting a consultant, but 8-9 months is a long time. I mean, so I question the last minute effort here. Vegetation, the plant types and density proposed are okay. However, one thing that isn't being cited is currently the vegetation on site, while part of it is lawn, a good part of it is lawn, is basically in a large contiguous patch. What is being proposed are 3 to 4 segmented patches with the structure and the fill where the parking is going to take place, which will not be vegetated, segmenting these vegetated patches. Being certified in wildlife, one extensive patch functions much better than segmented patches, even if the vegetation is improved. So I question that. And the house is on piles over the dune. There will be no vegetation under that house. It's not to the density that would be functional. The fill was part of the original proposal before the coastal dune was even considered. I believe the fill is there for construction purposes, to bury a septic system that needs to be raised above the water table. And to do that, the existing cesspool system probably is not compliant. I've never looked into it and saw where the water table was, but I think that the fill in part was there to raise the septic system. I also think that the fill provides some relief to the height requirement under zoning. Again, another construction situation where if they stayed at grade with the height of the house, I believe they would have exceeded the 35-foot minimum height requirement. So I think they are bringing fill in also to elevate the site to get them to that 35 or less height requirement. I know the project team wouldn't agree with this, but I would also submit that I think that there is some limited structural support from the fill to the structure, to piles and the structure in general. Overall, there's been no real design changes of significance. They have done a vegetation plan. They have downsized the house a little bit, but basically the footprint we're seeing in the current plan, which is dated, get this straight, July 29th of this year, some 6 months after the original plan, okay, is largely the same footprint over the same entirety of the site. They may say that there are no adverse effects, but they haven't yet demonstrated to me through data that there will be. There was no pre-existing functional assessment. There is no assessment of construction, destabilization, and correction. And ultimately, they're suggesting, they may be right, I don't know, I am uncertain of this, that there would be no post-construction impacts. Having said all that, staff cannot recommend approval of the project as it's being proposed for 2 reasons. First of all, I still question the permittability of a total demo, rebuild, and redevelopment of a coastal dune site. And secondly, I do not believe, in my opinion, my best professional opinion, that the project team has demonstrated no adverse effect to the coastal dune, as I have not seen any factual data to back up those statements. I would also suggest we can extrapolate this public hearing process out. A secondary recommendation would be, I think we're where we're going to be. And I think that it would behoove the commission to close the public hearing this evening and let the chips fall where they may, and let the decision stand or fail on its own.
Any other comments?
Not for me.
Well, I'll give the applicants team an opportunity to rebut if they certainly have that right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, we're saying that the house across the street is in compliance with performance standards. No, it's not. Okay, it was allowed to have more than 2 feet of fill in a velocity zone. That's not allowed without an engineering study, which is what we provided on this site with the Race Coastal Engineering Study. So there's a performance standard that was not met on that property. A second one is the fact that it's on a barrier beach. It was allowed to have a slab and breakaway walls underneath the house. That's not allowed on a barrier beach. Doesn't matter whether it's a dune or not. 2 feet of fill requires a study. 2 feet or more, more than 2 feet of fill requires a study. Breakaway walls and a slab are not allowed on a barrier beach. So the performance standards were not met on that property. That's number one. And the proponents of that project, it was said at one of the hearings on that project that they originally denied they were on a barrier beach because it's not shown in the barrier beach inventory. They reluctantly agreed to be in on a barrier beach. So I don't think we should be faulted for reluctantly agreeing that we're on a dune after we had agreed we're on a barrier beach. All right, we accepted that right at the beginning of things. It took us a while to realize we're on a barrier beach, but we've taken to that. However, if our position and our design has evolved because of accepting that over a period of time, should our final result be dismissed because it came too late? Why are we going through all this? Why don't you just stop us 3 months ago and say, look, you took too long. We don't care what you come up with. The other thing is we're asked about vegetation. The vegetation is not segmented. We have a very small patch, about 750 square feet of natural vegetation right now that you could call truly dune vegetation. We're going to increase that by over 6-fold, over 4,000 square feet. And it's not segmented. It's contiguous. It wraps all the way around the side of the house and around the driveway. The other thing is dune height. The regulations indicate dune height and volume are key to storm damage prevention. Right now we have this flat dune. Was it washed out many years ago? Perhaps, we don't know. But it's been stable for many, many years. We're looking to take and give it a more of a dune formation, something which has some elevation to it, which gets up to 10 feet in height. And we're being, I guess we can't do that, even though we're improving the functionality of the dune by increasing its volume. We're being told that it also gives you some other benefits because of the height of the building, so it's not okay. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the functionality of the dune or not. Adding fill to that, the proper kind of fill with the right grain sizes, adds to the functionality of that dune. So other than that, yes, we reduced the area. We've reduced this for the initial proposal. Mr. and Mrs. Furman agreed to make their house smaller than what they originally planned. And we've come up with a planting plan, which is very extensive, incorporates the entire yard being replanted. So, I mean, those are the changes we've made. It's taken some time to get here, but we think we've got something that meets the standards and which should be approved. I don't know if either Chip or Stan wants to add anything, but those are my comments.
Chip Nyland, thank you. I'm disappointed because when I heard that the agent was going to speak, I thought we were going to hear some actual reasons why it should be denied. And he stated that there were 2 reasons. And he said, first, he wasn't sure that you could reconstruct a dune if that was permitted under the regulations. And we've indicated to you that the regulations at 10.28 set 6 reasons and 6 standards that we have to meet. And we've shown you that we have a non-compliant house out there that is in a velocity zone that no one could build today. It is non-compliant. There should be no question of anybody that what we're doing is we're replacing a non-compliant system, a building. Second, we have a septic system that is a cesspool that you could not build today. There's no question that what we're doing is we're replacing a septic system with a functioning system that's been approved by the Board of Health. The third thing that we're doing is we're providing more dune than is out there today, which will perform the standards for, as they say in the regulations, for protecting against storm damage prevention and for flood control. We're not interfering with any bird nesting habitat, and we're not interfering with the landward or lateral movement of dune, because we're allowing the dune to move by having an elevated structure. So we have done everything that the regulations have required us to do. Did we get there late? I think everybody's explained to the commission, one of the reasons we got there late was because there was a project directly across the street that was built without any of these issues, and we believe that we had the same resource areas, and that so it took us a while to get there. But we should be judged on what's in front of you tonight, not what the history is. And I think that we've demonstrated to you with a coastal geologist who walks you through in his letter each one of those performance standards, that we've met those performance standards. So I'm sorry to go on a little bit, but I believe that we have, if you take a look at the record, we've presented to you expert opinion that we meet the performance standards. And on the other hand, you have staff who said, gee, we're not sure if you can do it according to the regulations, where we have a coastal geologist who says that you can, and I think it should be permitted.
Thank you. I just want to be really clear
if I
for
could just-
myself. I want to say something. The history of this filing, I would agree, would not be the basis of my vote, okay? Because every single continuance was at either at the applicant's request to get more information or at ours, but in either case, it was approved by this commission. So to me, it would be not appropriate to base my vote on the fact there were X number of continuances or not. I base it on the application most recent, which I believe was July of this year, and the supporting materials for that application. The fact that there may have been taken 9 months to get there is, to me, not relevant to the decision of whether to grant or deny the request. I'm speaking for myself, but just so you know, I'm not going to be basing my vote on how long it took for us to get here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could say something, I said that the regulations do not list the complete demolition, reconstruction, or redevelopment site as an allowed project within 310 CMR 1028. Therefore, I don't believe the project is permittable. I'm not sitting here saying, gee, I'm not sure if it's permittable or not, which I think is being depicted here. I'm saying that the regulations don't say it, and therefore I don't think it's permittable. Now, we're giving opinions here. We're giving professional opinions. That's my professional opinion.
And through you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please.
just briefly, there are lots of things that aren't included in the regulations as not being allowed. What the regulations say is if you are going to perform an activity, you must meet these following 6 items, the performance standards. So the fact that it's not listed doesn't mean that it can't be permitted. It means that the work that we're performing has to meet those standards, and we've demonstrated that we meet the standards. So the absence of a reference to what we're looking for, there are lots of projects that have been in front of the commission that may not be included, but we have met the performance standards to allow it.
Well, without a baseline of the existing conditions, I don't know how you can say you met the performance standards. That's my point.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do.
Please go right ahead, Nat.
Mark, this question is to you, actually. So you noted in your summary that you would have preferred Stan Humphrey's assessment to include additional data points or data points that would give you greater comfort that this had no adverse effect. And I'm just curious, having not seen many cases similar to this one, what would those data points typically be?
First off, I don't think it is my place to design somebody else's study. However, what I would want is an assessment of the existing conditions supported by factual data, a look into the construction effects on the dune, and then a post-construction assessment to see where we're going. I think that statements are being made without enough factual information. I'm not a coastal geologist, so I will not challenge conclusions based on coastal geological data. I may ask questions about it, but I would never stand up and say that coastal geologist doesn't know what they're talking about. I haven't seen the information that I'm looking for, and I'm looking for an assessment of existing functionality, construction functionality, and impact, and post-construction mitigation, stabilization, whatever the case may be.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question to Rick and your team. You've heard what Mark just said about the facts that he believes is not present in the application or the supporting materials. Can you recite to those materials where we find the facts that he's alluding to?
I think the indicators for the current performance of that dune are basically empirical. It's what's the history of what do you see there right now? You have a situation that, yes, is stable and has a very shallow rooted vegetative cover, has a minimum of actual dune vegetation, and has a very low profile in comparison to a rising sea level. So all of these things would say, yes, it may be stable right now, but functionally, it's a pretty weak structure in terms of the functionality of a dune, in terms of preventing storm damage. We're proposing to make it a stronger structure. And the analysis of what's there right now, this is similar to when we're talking about the race analysis, when it was criticized as being only for the 1% storm. What about all the smaller storms? The smaller storms happen all the time. We have something that's been there for decades and has been stable. So what's the functionality of this right now? It's been stable for decades, but in terms of large storms, it doesn't perform well. As mentioned by Mr. Garrett, on at least one occasion, hurricane in 1938, I believe it was, this house was taken off its foundation, had to be put back onto the foundation it's on today, that's the current granite foundation. So yes, its functionality, the assessment would be, yes, it holds up pretty well for the small storms, but when it comes to the big storm, like Hurricane of 38, the house disappears. So we're trying to provide something that goes for the 1% storm. So if we get another 1938 storm, this house doesn't end up in the marsh. So that would be my comment. I don't know if Chip, if you had anything to add to that.
So I just want to be clear. I want to be certain in my mind. What you're telling me is that we could look at empirical information, basically observational information, as to the current conditions. Where in the submittals do we have the data relative to dune stabilization and during construction? And then there's conclusions. I mean, I've read both ECR's letter as well as yours, and I've read the materials, but I would just like you to point it out so I can reread those supporting materials, because I quite frankly didn't see it.
The dune stabilization comes about from plantings. The extensive planting plans were submitted several months ago, and they provide, as I said, over 4,500, I believe, square feet of dune grasses and plantings, native shrubs, all of which were habitat friendly for local wildlife. All of those things were being added as part of this project after the fill was installed in order to stabilize the dune. So, we walk a fine line on these things because, we have to try to stabilize the dune with vegetation, and yet we can't put anything in its path like hardscape, which we haven't done. So we have no hardscape on our proposal. Everything is soft structures, things that can be blown away by the big storm if need be. And I think that's the intent of the regulations, is that we have vegetation that tends to build up that dune in normal situations, tall grasses that capture windblown sands, deep roots that hold that dune together in the smaller storms. But if the big mother of storms comes through, the dune has to move, and so we don't have anything in the way to stop it from moving. It's gonna perform its function. So I think we're improving the function of it. We're improving the resistance to storm damage simply by raising the height and increasing the volume of the sand available for that purpose. This is not even to mention we've had comments early on about the coastal shoreline eroding, and perhaps that's because we only have this shallow dune, this 6 to 7 foot high dune to feed that beach in the worst situations. We're going to end up with a 10-foot high dune at the highest point, which would provide an additional reservoir of sand to feed back onto that beach in these situations. And that, again, another function of the dunes is to replenish the beach sands, the coastal beach. So I think we've provided you something which increases the dune functions in a number of ways. I don't know what more we can add to this.
Well, could I, Mr. Chairman, could I answer the question with respect to construction disturbance?
Sure, who's speaking,
This
please?
I'm sorry, this is Chip Nyland again. My
okay.
apologies.
Thank you.
I didn't
That's
raise my hand. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I didn't recognize your voice.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I happen to I sat on my commission for 9 years in the coastal community. So the question that you're asking is the right question. And the question you're asking about functions is why I asked Stan Humphreys to be brought in. The one analogy I can bring to you with respect to the disturbance is this is similar to replication. You know that if you alter a bordering vegetated wetland, which I'm sure that you've had in your community, and you've allowed for replication of that, the disturbance that takes place the first 6 months or 8 months, you know that there's disturbance out there. There's a 3-year period for that area to be restored to its vegetative, to 75%, as a matter of fact, vegetative capacity. So what's happening here in terms of the stabilization of the dune is if there's any destabilization, it's temporary, just like it is in replication. And what the commission does is you establish conditions that require that stabilization to take place, and that's what's going to take place with the plantings, that Rick has just explained to you. When we have a very robust planting plan, we're going to actually have more dune grass when we're done than we have now. So that's why I've taken issue with this question about construction disturbance. You don't take the picture when the work is taking place. You take the picture before and after, and that's when you compare those, and that's why we believe that we meet the functions, and that's what the regulations require us to do. And you see it every day when you're doing replication.
I would submit a response to that. Replication is generally done in low energy situations. This is a high energy situation, marine and wind. They're not the same thing. There is a much more likely destabilization in high energy environments, such as a barrier beach and coastal dune, than some inland wetland area that's associated with a water body or a stream. And typically we are able to condition against certain damages from that water, but it's a low energy situation. It is not a high energy situation.
Through you, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what's a part of the Wetlands Protection Act. We have all sorts of different resource areas all sorts of different situations that we have to deal with. And what we do is we condition them to meet those specific situations. And that's what we're proposing that's why we're proposing to have the plantings that we have. And yes, that also doesn't prevent, a freak storm. I've had in very stable areas where I've had wetlands that have been altered because of a freak storm. I mean, we're going to deal with that. And the question is, how are we going to finish when we're at the end? And if we condition this the right way and we plant the right way, then we're going to meet those standards at the end of construction.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else want to be heard on the commission?
Mr. Chairman, another
Yes.
question from me is Nat. A small question, but I was just curious about the height and depth of the steel edge that's listed on the planting plan surrounding the driveway.
Can we just say, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, through you, you just say
Absolutely.
that was added by the landscape architect. That can be taken right out. That's not an essential part of this at all. And that steel edge is not something that the individual who was doing this was looking at habitat and trying to come up with appropriate plantings for a very droughty type environment. And that's what she was looking at. She put in the edging, I think, and that was not something that we want in part of the project. That can be removed by condition. Just say we don't use that. We have no problem with that.
Okay.
Anyone else on the commission? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to be heard on this matter? I don't see anyone. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Okay, commissioners. We now have all the materials that have been submitted, including correspondence that was submitted, various emails through the various meetings that we've had on this, and the plan of record dated July 29, 2025, together with comments from staff in writing, verbally, comments from Mr. Sharon's office in writing, verbally, comments from ECR, and comments from the Commonwealth as a result of the site visit. And I think at this point, we need to do two things. We need to vote, and I would suggest that the vote, if the vote is an affirmative vote, it should be with the condition that we will take under advisement any conditions to be imposed on that order of conditions, and then present those conditions at for vote at the next public meeting. So the first would be entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions on DEP file 15-2763 NOI 24-53 in accordance with the plan submitted July 29, 2025, together with supporting materials, subject to conditions to be imposed at the next public hearing.
So moved.
We have
Second.
a motion seconded. Okay. Those in favor, roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
I will vote yes. That makes it unanimous. We will present a list of the proposed conditions to that, Rick. We'll send them to you. At the next public meeting, we'll vote on those conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the members and for your patience in this long project. Thank you.
Thank
Well-
you very much for your time this evening.
You're very welcome. Our second public hearing, sorry for the delay, everyone who comes next, but this was an important matter, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to fully present their cases. So I don't want to cut anybody short. But our second public hearing is on DEP file 15-2795, NOI 25-28. It's a note of intent from Harvey Wolkoff, care of Tanner Pool, to reinitiate a Phragmites management program to promote growth of native plant species within the 100-foot buffer zone to a salt marsh, the salt marsh, and within land subject to coastal storm flowage. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.32, and Section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 112, lot 4. It's otherwise known as 132 Elm Street. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. And we have someone here this evening on behalf of the applicant.
Yes, I'm here at Tanner Pool, Solitude Lake Management.
You've got the floor, Tanner.
Thank you for your time tonight, Commission. Just here to, again, looking to initiate a Phragmites management program at 132 Elm Street. Our applicant is Harvey Wolkoff. Our objective here is pretty much to control the growth of the invasive Phragmites and to use EPA registered herbicide to improve wetland habitat for native species. So I'll open up, I'll give you guys a quick look. I'll share my screen. And this is the map that was included with the NOI package, but this is just the managed area. So this is,
I don't see any map.
oh, I don't know if I'm sharing correctly. That might allow it. All right, well, while I'm getting that ready, just give a quick overview about the project.
Sure.
We originally managed this program or this area back in 2018 through 2021. And it kind of happened at a lapse in the order of conditions where we kind of halted management. We hadn't heard from the client, but we reconnected with him and he wanted to reinitiate this Phragmites management program. In short, we are looking for a multi-year approval to allow for a management program that includes a pre-survey in early summer, a herbicide treatment in late summer, and then a post-management survey in the fall. And
Okay, and I still don't see any plans. That's okay. So
I'm sorry.
that's okay. What kind of herbicide is going to be utilized?
We plan to use two, or we applied for two. The first one being Amazamox, which is a systematic herbicide. It's known to be absorbed through plant foliage, which will be translocated down to the roots or the rhizomes of the Phragmites and to pretty much shut off, stop the production of food in the rhizomes, which ultimately will stop the growth of Phragmites completely. The second herbicide we asked for approval for is glyphosate. And this one's more of a broad spectrum herbicide, which can affect more in the have more of an ecological footprint. But we asked for this one in the case that if the Phragmites show a sign of resistance to the imazamox, that we have another herbicide that we can use potentially in year 3 after we see kind of like a little bit of resistance growth.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
All in all, pretty much. Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
no problem. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
Well, a little backpedaling on this. This project was previously approved by the commission under file number 15-2439. The work was done. They filed for a COC. It appeared that they had successfully achieved what they wanted to achieve, but again, it was observational. It wasn't specifically on the ground per se. The frag did return. So they are requesting basically the same proposal for frag eradication under a new file number since the other file number had closed out. Having said that, staff is recommending a standard order of conditions per their maps dated September 4th, 2025. But we're also going to add a condition that the commission would prefer the wipe methodology, hand application of the herbicides, and only use foliar spray minimally and to the greatest to minimize its use to minimize foliar spraying to the greatest extent possible as practical.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, is anyone in the audience that wants to be heard on this matter? I see none. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That passes unanimously. Commissioners, I'll now entertain the issuance of a standard order of conditions on DEP file 15-2795 NOI 25-28 pursuant to the plan dated September 4, 2025, with the condition that the white meth would be preferred, hand applications, and minimize the feller spray as much as practical.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second. We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Oh, and Liz?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We're moving now to page 2 of the agenda, finally.
Thank you, board.
You're welcome. And number 3 is a continued public hearing, DEP file 15-2797, NOI 25-30. It's on the notice of intent from Tracy Noonan, care of Richard Rayum, to construct a proposed addition to an existing dwelling within 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank and land subject to coastal storm flowage. The applicable regulations are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.04, 10.30, and Section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 121, lot 19. It's otherwise known as 8 Bono Court. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Seconded, please.
Second.
Second.
Seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. I see somebody here from Prime Engineering. If you're here on this matter, there's Rich. You're muted, Rich.
Oh, I'm unmuted.
Now I
Okay.
can hear you now.
Rich Rion, Prime Engineering, we prepared existing conditions plan and a proposed expansion. Andrew Benavides from our office is also present, and I'd like it be allowed that he could share his screen.
Absolutely. Screen is shared.
So this is an existing cottage that was built in 1950. It's partway between Cottage Street and Howland Avenue on Bono Court. It's 90% paved, and the house is up on stilts. It's up on pilings, though it doesn't quite meet current flood zone, but it is elevated, so the upper floor is out of normal storms. And the proposal, because it's only 720 square feet, one bedroom, that's sort of studio apartment with a kitchen and a bathroom, a kitchenette and a bathroom. So Andrew, if you want to show the second plan, which is the proposed addition. The proposal is to add a 24-foot by 24-foot elevated structure, so it'll have the same floor elevation as the existing structure. Again, up on pilings. Because the area underneath it is paved, there's no increased impervious area, no increased volume or rate of runoff. And there'll be relatively no disruption of the site. In other words, we're not grading it. It's already served by sewer and water to the existing structure, so that we don't have to bring utilities in. We don't have to do anything but put the few pilings that are on there. There have been several letters from abutters saying that when there are very high tides and wind-driven storms, the site floods, you know, a few feet deep, which is characteristic of all along this coast. You know, the yacht club flooded with a couple of feet in the water about a little over a year and a half ago in December, and then again in January, and a number of buildings all the way up to Captain's Lane, you know, flooded in those unusual storms, and they'll continue to have flooding. This unit isn't going to flood because it's elevated. It could flood in a 100-year storm or larger, but it won't have any impact on storm flow or storm volume. And that's about it.
Okay. If you could please stop the screen sharing so I could, thank you. Mark, I'd like to hear staff's comments on this proposal.
Well, the proposal is a 24 by 24 addition, pile supported. The existing structure, if I understood what Rich said, is also pile supported. However,
Right.
it does have a block wall around its perimeter. That is correct. So while it is pile supported, there is a foundational displacement, if you will, which forces water around. I don't think that could be built today under FEMA standards. In the building code, I think it would have to be open with no sidewalls. As Rich indicated, there were several abutting commenters, the Redferns, the Manchesters, Jane Shapira, and previously Heidi Silva Brooks, three of which, the Redferns, Shapira and Brooks on Bono Court, and the Manchesters on 21 Clarence Street, which is like a short block up gradient. As I read the comments, a lot of those comments seemed to be about zoning and flooding. We also had received, I believe it was 4 videos, all appeared to be of the same storm episode, and all were pretty similar. I forwarded one of those videos, I think the most comprehensive video, to the commissioners for their review. This is again a neighborhood which, hindsight being 2020, those houses probably shouldn't have been built where they are, all of them. And given the site of 8 Bonneau Court, this addition is not going to drastically change the density in the neighborhood or change the flooding components. The flooding doesn't come from 8 Bonneau Court, it comes from the bay, and it overwashes. It just happens to come over 8 Bonneau Court first, and I believe 6 Bonneau Court also, during extreme storms, particularly southerly gales, which drive water into Apponeganset Bay. These sites are somewhat protected by the causeway, but if enough water gets through the causeway or over the top of the causeway, which happens very frequently, these sites will become inundated. I think the key here is that should this project be approved, any permit would be contingent on complete FEMA compliance. And I know there's a calculation for some areas that are less than 51% in terms of floor height in that situation, but also the sidewall issues. There can't be any sidewalls. So that would be my comments to the commission. My recommendation is the only resource areas involved here are a minimal structural coastal bank, buffer zone to that coastal bank, and land under the ocean, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. This proposal will not adversely affect the coastal bank or the buffer zones impacts to the coastal bank. And unfortunately, we still live in a time where, while this is a land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is the 100-year coastal storm floodplain or the 1% storm, there are no performance standards for that resource area. So in the coastal area, unlike the inland area, the commission is very limited on what they can do relative to flooding when the flooding is not caused by the structure, but by the larger environment. So staff's recommendation is to issue a standard order of conditions as per the plan, dated, I think it's revised September 3rd, 2025, with the modification to condition 21 that would incorporate specifically compliance with all FEMA building code requirements. And subsequently, the proposed addition shall be pile supported with no sidewalls.
I have a question. Well, what does the plan show? Sidewalls?
Shows breakaway walls, which I think the proof will be when we submit for the building permit. The building department is going to examine all of the town's flood bylaws and all of FEMA's bylaws and assure that we meet all of those standards.
Mark, does that satisfy you?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I said FEMA compliance. I probably should have phrased that as FEMA building code requirements.
Okay.
Because ultimately, the FEMA requirements are governed by the building code in this case. It's not governed by wetland protection, because the land subject to coastal storm flowage has no performance standards as of yet.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions? I see a number of people in the audience, so I'll now open it up to the audience. Please raise your hand if you want to speak on this matter, and you will be recognized. I see a lot of,
Mr. Redfern has his hand up.
okay, then Mr. Redfern, you are recognized. Please state your name and address, and then you may speak.
Sean Redfern, 5 Bono Court. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak and allowing my wife and I to express our concerns regarding this proposed project. Our prior letter provided to the Conservation Commission addressed specific comments indicated by the petitioner's narrative of support provided with a notice of intent. We understand that some of these issues may not be directly in the purview in your purview, but would like to have the commission review and provide feedback on the following issues that we believe fall under the Conservation Commission's review and have not been addressed by the applicant in the materials made available to us thus far. As has been indicated through other abutters letters, photographs, and videos submitted to the commission, the project site is subject to storm flowage and coastal flooding. In addition, of the petitioner's proposed size would result in a substantial change to the existing building structure. We have asked the commission to review this application in the eyes of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as referenced by the Design Standards in Article 27, Floodplain Overlay District of the town's zoning bylaws for compliance. We would also like to note that the drawings submitted by the applicant for the proposed addition are vague and incomplete regarding the proposed addition foundation construction, how these site disturbances are being addressed, and how they will impact the abutters. Lastly, the property is almost fully paved, and the proposed application does not address how the applicant intends to deal with stormwater drainage on the property, as indicated by Chapter 313 Stormwater Management of the town's bylaws and the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook. We ask that the commission and the town review these issues in the light of the cited Massachusetts General Law and the town of Dartmouth's bylaws and provide the abutters with feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Redfern. Now I see Ms. Redfern has her hand raised. You now have the floor. Just your name and address, please.
Pamela Choi Redfern, 5 Bono Court.
You can now speak. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition to what my husband, Sean Redfern, had asked the commission to consider, I'd also like to just note that the petitioner's application does cite a building elevation to match the existing, which currently does not meet the FEMA requirements for base flood elevation. So would ask the commission to also review that as well.
Yes, I think if I heard Mr. Garrett correctly, just to address that issue, he was talking about recommending a standard order of conditions, but with condition number 21, which would require compliance with FEMA, and I would just also say FEMA and Town of Dartmouth building code regulations regarding, so that should be addressed in that. If the plan is deficient in that respect, the building permit cannot be issued.
Understood. I'm unclear as to what the Conservation Commission will approve with the petitioner's language had included the current elevation to match existing.
Correct. Our jurisdiction is, and by the way, so you're not the first person to be confused about this. You needn't say, gee, I should have known that. No, it's pretty, sometimes pretty convoluted, but there are various boards and commissions in this town that applicants who want to do any type of development must go before they can do what they want to do. And that's usually through a building permit. Conservation is a small part of that. So what we look at is protection under our jurisdiction of resource areas and also the buffer zones to those resource areas. So although zoning certainly comes into play and FEMA comes into play as well, from a building permit standpoint, we'll defer to Randy Bassett and the building department and or Mr. Maderos and the zoning board of appeals if you need to get zoning relief. We don't have jurisdiction over that.
Certainly.
The concerns that you raised, and certainly some of the concerns that your husband raised, we will consider to the extent that they are for our jurisdiction. They may be far more relevant to another board or another office or department in the town of Dartmouth.
Yes.
And I suggest that certainly compliance with FEMA would be building.
Understood.
That, if I heard correctly, was a condition that Mr. Garrett would recommend that the commissioners consider in their vote. So
Yes.
we're not unmindful of FEMA.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
The one other piece I'd like to just ask the commission about is the current existing seawall that's in disrepair, and is whether that's needing to be addressed.
Rich, do you have any
Yeah.
comments on that?
I have not examined the seawall, and it's not part of this filing. If there was an intention to bolster the seawall, we would have to file a new notice of intent, be a new notice to abutters, new legal ads, and a new public hearing. But it's not part of this filing.
You see.
So that means they're not intending to do anything with the seawall.
That's correct.
As an abutter, I would just express our concern about the current disrepair of the existing seawall and the additional roof runoff, I think, for storm water with no containment system. And the combination of the disrepair of the seawall and the additional roof runoff, I think for us would be a concern.
Yeah,
So-
Mark, you can address that if you want, but the seawall, if it needs repair or doesn't need repair, we don't have the jurisdiction to mandate somebody repair their private property. But when they want to repair it, then they have to come before us for approval of that repair, and they have to explain to us how they intend to repair it so that we can make sure that when the project is being built, there is no adverse impact on our resource areas or buffer zones. And then subsequently that the project, once completed, also will have no adverse impact on our resource area or buffer zones. But we don't have the ability to order somebody to repair a seawall.
Understood. I think the proximity of the seawall to the current proposed building foundation or piles, should it be, that would be a concern of mine. I'll just maybe, yep. I'll just give the floor maybe to one of our other neighbors who are in attendance today, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, absolutely. So if there's anyone else in the audience that wants to be heard, please just raise your hand. And I'm looking, I'm not finding, I know there's people who probably want, oh, well, I see Keith Manchester's hand raised. So Keith, if you will give us your name and unmute yourself, give us your name and address, and then you can go ahead and be heard.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very concerned about the Waterways Protection Act. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just
Okay,
fine.
my-
There's a
my-
little
my
bit of
name-
an echo, but I can hear
Okay.
you.
All right, my name is Keith Manchester at 21 Clarence Street. And I'm very just concerned about the Waterways Protection Act and how fragile our wetlands are right now. I've lived here for 46 years, and we're finally getting some eelgrass back down there. We have, oysters, cohogs, blue shell crabs, you name it, all the beautiful birds. And I'm very concerned about any building having the permission to build within 12 feet of the high water mark. I mean, especially at 24 by 24. I mean, who would even want to build it? Last I knew, the ocean was not receding. But I don't know the setbacks of waters with FEMA, but to build a structure, I mean, 12 feet, I'll give you 15 feet. And I know it's a lot less than that from the high water mark, the seawall. I don't understand it. I think it's irresponsible and it's unsafe. And I did send in pictures to the commission of that seawall. And you can see it if you just look at how in disrepair it is and eroded and undermined. So that's my concern. And my main concern is the waterfowl and just even the shadow that's going to be going on all our eelgrass, just from that structure that's going to be so high, and it's on the southeast side. That's a very concern of mine too. So and like Pam said, you know, the runoff is going to be, it's very fragile. Our waterways, as you guys, that's what you're here for, to protect our waterways and find other ways to satisfy the applicant. But as far as structure, 24 by 24, which I can't see building that close to the existing water. And I'm not talking 50 feet back, I'm talking within like 12 feet back. That's what the existing building is now. And as far as the pilings on another building, I've been in that, I've worked in that house, and I don't see any pilings. All I see is a cement block foundation. I could be wrong, but I've been in there, and there's actually a wall that's built in there just to protect the high water from coming into that garage. I've been there many times helping that lady that previously owned it 40 years ago with her furnace, always flooded out. But as far as pilings in there, I don't see it. I see a solid cement wall block. So I'm just trying to keep it to the Waterways Act, and I appreciate your time and for hearing me. Thank you.
You're very welcome for that, and I appreciate the fact that you didn't give us any material that was an overlap, so it's good. So I forgot to mention this. If other folks want to be heard, and you've heard something said by any of the three individuals who previously spoke, instead of reiterating it, just say, I agree with them. We don't have to hear it again, but you all said something different and new, and I appreciated the fact that you did so. Does anybody else want to be heard on this application? I don't know. I don't see anybody else, but I want to make sure I don't cut anybody off who wants to be heard.
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
I'm not a member of the audience, but I had a question.
Sir, you can certainly ask it. You're entitled.
Rich, I guess to the comments regarding storm runoff from the roof, from the additional roof space that would be there, could you just add any color specific to that? And also, I noticed there's a trench drain on the plan, I presume is existing. Does that drain to the ocean today or to the bay?
I don't know. The answer as far as the runoff is the area underneath the proposed addition currently is 100% paved. And so we're just putting a roof above already paved area. So there's no increase in impervious area. There'll be no increase volume of runoff and no increase in the rate of runoff. And for sites that are on the ocean, the regulations don't require mitigation. They don't require detention because there's no way you're going to flood the ocean. No matter how much runoff comes off of the houses right next to the water, you're not going to flood the ocean, so they don't require infiltration or any of the usual stormwater standards.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Redfern, you got your hand raised again. New material. Okay.
Well, I just have a question for Mr. Riom. In terms of the runoff, the site or the area that it's running off from is actually is a driveway. So aren't driveways treated differently than runoff from a grassy area or a vegetated area?
Yes, if the site was lawn and we were putting roof, there would be an increase in runoff. When it's in a driveway, it tends to be considered dirty water, and roof runoff, unless it's a metal roof, is considered clean runoff. So in general, the wetland regulations prefer roof runoff to driveway runoff.
But isn't the roof runoff running off into the driveway, which then runs off into the river?
Right, the same square footage. In other words, right now there's 720 square feet of, no, it's not 720, 576 square feet of driveway running towards the river, and afterwards there'll be 572 square feet of roof running into the river. So there's no, from a hydrologic standpoint, when we do drainage calculations, there wouldn't be any measurable increase in the volume or the rate of runoff.
But isn't that assuming that there is no water running beneath the building that's now on piers? You're making an assumption there. You're assuming that the building would have all four sides to it and water would be running around it, not underneath it.
That's right. Water, oh, you mean water from up gradient, from uphill? It would run down and around the building and reach Ponegasset.
Or one of our neighbors' properties.
It's not pitched to the neighbors' properties. None of it would run to the Shapiro site. None of it would run to the Dingwell site. It would all run to the ocean.
It goes to the Smith site right now.
To the Smith site?
Mm-hmm. They're directly behind the abutter, the lot, excuse me.
Oh, uphill, up gradient, you mean?
Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily up gradient, I guess.
I don't have a whole lot. I don't have a shot, but what you're saying is that you think that the water runs away from the ocean towards Clarence Street.
Some of it does, not all of it.
None of our elevation shots indicate that.
We have, I think our neighbors have photographs.
Well, let Mr. Rayum finish. We have to go one after the other. It works better that way.
So we have existing contours shown on our plans, and the existing contours don't show the water shedding towards the Smiths. It shows it flowing downhill towards Ponegasset Bay.
Okay, now if you have something you want to say in response to that, you can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure we're not having an echo in here.
Yeah, I can still hear you, but you're right, there is an echo.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
Much better, thank you.
Our understanding is that the water actually, and we sort of live it, we've been here every day. We work from home also. The water does sit sandwiched in between the two houses.
Oh, is a localized depression?
I wouldn't maybe characterize it as localized. It's quite a bit of a large amount for which we could get you photographs.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. You're saying that after a rainstorm, if I went there, I would see a giant puddle the day after the rainstorm?
I could just maybe forward you photographs of what we've witnessed for large storm events, not necessarily named ones, over the course of the last couple of years.
If I can ask a question, where is this water coming from?
We believe
that
it's,
you're observing?
yeah,
Where
I think
it-
go ahead.
Go ahead.
We believe some of it is roof runoff.
From where?
As well as street runoff.
Please, one person at a time with,
Well, we're saying a bunch of different things, and the question is this runoff being generated from 8 Buno Court? I have not been out there during rainstorms. I've seen pictures. I don't know that those pictures were definitive of 8 Buno Court being the source of the water. And I would submit that if water is discharging from the bay onto the land, it's going everywhere, even if it's passing Buno Court. I think the real issue here is that water generally sheets in that area from northeast to southwest, as is the slope of the as is the slope of the ground and the almost linear nature of the floodplain. So from the data that I see on the maps and from the contours that I've seen, the water's flowing from northeast to southwest toward the bay. If water was being generated from the site and discharging off-site, well, that's a different story. That is illegal. You cannot do that. I'm not certain that I've seen that.
anything more? Mr.
Sorry.
Manchester again? Okay, again, nothing new. I mean, nothing, we've already been said, only new.
No, I'm not
please.
gonna be repetitive at all.
All right,
But
appreciate it.
I'm talking about rainstorms on their neighbors just east of that 8 Buno Court.
You need to put your hand.
They're excuse me. Okay, just that building east of the 8 Buno Court. Just in the bad rainstorms, there's a low level there where the gas meter is in that corner that floods out all the time because of the driveway is solid, rigid, and the water does go back to their house. They're on, I don't know why they're not on tonight, but I'm speaking for them, and any rainstorm like that, you know, I'm talking more than an inch, will settle in that southwest corner of their neighbor behind them. So I hope that I can straighten that out. It's not from the ocean. It's the runoff from the house that is existing now. And if there's another 24 by 24 roof line, it's just going to make it worse. I believe, you know, I'm not an expert, but I can tell you that right now that there is water. That's a low point there in that house, and that's land. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Mr. Ray, you made any analysis as to whether the roof runoff on existing conditions is going to add or exacerbate the ponding that's certainly been shown in photographs and videos?
No, the videos were clearly ocean flooding. You know, I'm familiar with them. I'm on the property committee of the yacht club, and in those several storms flooded 2 foot deep in the yacht club to elevation 7 and caused tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage at the yacht club. So I'm very, very aware of what, and that's what the videos were. They were storms where the ocean flooded all of these lower properties. And so that's going to happen again and again. It didn't negatively impact this property because the building's elevated high above existing ground. If there's depression on Mrs. Shapiro's land, she could build up her property and prevent that ponding on her property. It would end up ponding slightly in the lawn that's in Shapiro, the layout of Shapiro, the town's sewer easement, which is currently lawn. So, but that doesn't do any harm to any of the properties. And the roof that we're proposing is not going to add any volume or any higher rate of runoff than the pavement that exists underneath it now.
And there are calculations to that effect?
I didn't need to do calculations because it's impervious now and it's going to be impervious after. I could do hydraulic calculations and it would just, it would show the exact same thing. It's the runoff coefficient times the area times whatever storm you put on it, and the numbers will be exactly the same. No increase in volume and no increase in the rate of runoff. And it's just, after doing this for 55 years, I don't have to do a calculation. I just know that if you don't change the impervious area, you don't change the rate. Or
so the area that we're talking about that's impervious will be unchanged from present conditions on your proposal.
That's correct.
Okay.
From a hydrologic standpoint, it'll be a roof instead of a driveway, but from a hydraulic and hydrologic computation, it will be exactly the same.
Okay, that helps me a little bit. You got your hand raised again. I'll give you the third time.
It's on behalf of my neighbors who are actually, they're on the iPads noted here. They had asked to be able to speak. So I just was hoping to get your attention for them.
Yeah, they could.
Carrie, Dave?
Yeah, we're here.
You need to give us your name and your address.
Carrie and David Smith, 8 Bonnell Court.
Okay, go ahead. You got the floor.
We just wanted to talk about the driveway and the flooding that does happen on our property. Right now, when it does rain, the rain pools in her driveway, which is crushed shells on top of a previous asphalt driveway. And it does flood back into our property during rainstorms. So adding this additional roof line is going to cause more rain to come into the shell part of the driveway, which floods us now. It's only going to make that worse with an additional roof square foot.
Do you have calculations of that you could present? 'Cause I asked the same question I asked of Mr. Rayum.
Well, I have a picture of, how it floods in now. So
Yeah, that's present conditions, but you have calculations showing that the proposed development will increase the flooding.
I do not.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to see
Well,
if you had-
point of clarification, I may have misheard. The people who were just speaking, what is your address?
8 Bonnell Court. 9. Non-Bonnell Court, sorry.
9, okay, you
I
said
apologize.
8, and I'm saying,
8 in my
okay, that
head.
sounds like the applicant's site.
No, it's the house and it's 9. It's right next door.
Yeah, I thought that was a familiar number, but I wasn't
I
sure.
apologize.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
I
all.
didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to ask that question. If you have more to say on this, certainly you may.
No, I appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. And I see someone else, you said it as neighbors, plural. So
It's my husband. He's with me.
Oh, okay. So if there's any other person in the audience that wants to be heard? I don't see anybody's hand raised. I don't see anybody in the chat room. So, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question?
Yeah, you could.
Could we add a condition that no new runoff be generated and discharged onto abutting sites?
I think that's a good condition. I don't see why we couldn't. I mean,
We don't have any calculations. And, the concern is what is, but what will be should not exacerbate a problem. And I think we could condition it that way.
Sure.
And that puts the onus back on the applicant and their agents.
Well, no, I think that's right. And I think that would certainly, I mean, I hear what everyone was saying and I was taking notes. So that's why I'm looking down because I can't remember everything I hear without taking notes. And I did see the photographs and I did watch the movie. And no doubt there's some flooding that's currently going on now. And I don't think even, applicants would deny that. But my concern isn't, well, is there current flooding and should the applicant have to make everything better? They can't, but they can't make it worse. That's I think what you're saying, Mark, correct?
Yep. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. I think I understood it then correctly. I just wanted to be sure I had it in my head. So if no one else wants to.
Mr. Commissioner, may I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Mark, I guess this one's kind of pointed towards you. In regards to what Mr. Manchester said in regards to the eelgrass and the shade caused by another 24 by 24 addition, we'll say, is there any concern on your end as to the amount of sunlight that the eelgrass should or should not receive?
I don't believe a structure on the shoreline is going to cast enough shadow over an eelgrass bed at that location. First of all, I'm not sure where the eelgrass is. That will get plenty of sunlight with or without the building. Eelgrass is typically growing in 2 to 3 feet of water. So I understand the concern for eelgrass loss. I'm not minimizing that, but I don't think a landside structure, if it were a dock, different story. Something projecting out over an eelgrass bed, certainly. But I don't think there's no performance requirement for landside structures, especially those offset off the water, whether it's 10 feet or 50 feet.
Understood. Thank you.
Again, I don't want to cut anyone off. Mr. Manchester, you got your hand raised again?
Yes, thank you. This is can anybody give me an answer? Maybe this is a zoning question. Just how far can you build a structure from the shoreline? Is there a setback? That would help me out a lot. I mean,
Yeah, that would be considered a side yard setback, and for a lot that existed prior to 1996, you have to be at least 10 feet from the low water mark. The property extends to low tide, so they would be able to extend to cantilever over the seawall out over the bay.
Okay, I guess that answers my
From
question.
a zoning standpoint, not from a conservation standpoint.
Yeah, no, I just cannot believe that any structure can be built within 12 feet of the water line. I've never seen that before. That was just my question. All right, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded motion, roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, I'll now entertain the motion to issue a standard order of conditions in accordance with the plan dated September 23rd, 2025, with additional condition number 21, requiring that the structure be pile supported, FEMA compliant, and town building code compliant, and that no new runoff from the proposed development be impacting any abutting property.
Point of order before we do that. I think the revised plan is September 3rd, not September 23rd. We haven't gotten to September 23rd yet.
Hey, you're right. It was my mistake. So with that edit, September 3rd, 2025, I just wanted to get September out of the way, I guess. I'll entertain the motion that I was describing.
So moved.
Second. We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Public hearing number 4 is a public hearing on DEP file 15-2799 NO 95-31. It's on the notice of intent from Douglas Curtis, care of Alan Haru, to construct an 8.5-foot wide by 60-foot long extension to an existing floating dockage system. Place armor stones on approximately 45 linear feet of an existing licensed revetment along the shore within the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage, land under the ocean, and land containing shellfish. The regulations are 310 CMR, 10.02, 10.04, 10.25, 10.30, 10.34, and Section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 117, lot 11, otherwise known as 14 Water Street, and attain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
A second on that, please.
Second.
Seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. On behalf of the applicant, Mr. Haru, you were patiently waiting.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Alan Haru and I'm a civil engineer. And for this hearing, I'm here on behalf of Douglas and Charlene Curtis, owners of a house and pier at 14 Water Street. Let me share my screen. Can you see that?
No, it's not shared yet.
Why is that not the case? Let's see. No, for some reason. Well, I don't know, for some reason, Mike, I'm having trouble with that, which doesn't surprise me, but let me see, maybe. Let's see. Share screen.
If it's any help to you, Mark is already, oh, wait a minute. Now it's coming. No, it's not.
There we go. Okay.
You got
Sorry about
screen, but it's no plan. It's got a bunch of.
Hold on. There we go.
Quad and stuff.
Can you see that?
I can see that now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Little tiny. It's sort of small, just so you know.
Okay.
But I can see it.
Okay, good. So on this plan, it's a site plan. I've highlighted the property line in yellow here on both ends, on the north side and the south side. This is house number 14. And along the shore, along right here, I've highlighted in blue is a licensed stone revetment that's along the coastal bank. And I've highlighted the mean high water line in blue and the mean low water in a dashed blue along the shore. My clients obtained a license in March 15th, 2000, license number 8343 for a 197-foot long fixed pier, gangway, and float dock system. And that was licensed by the Department of Environmental Protection. So down here in the south westerly corner of the lot is a boathouse, and this is the existing pier. The license was for the pier to extend all the way out near the end of what is existing for dockage, but what was constructed was a shorter pier and a gangway, and then more floating dockage. But the width of the licensed pier was 8 feet. So basically, the existing fixed pier, gangway, and float system is within the footprint of the license, but it was built differently. And these floats are actually built with concrete. They're built by a company in Bellingham, Oregon, and they're designed to, in some ways, act as sort of a wave attenuator. So what we propose is to license the existing configuration of the fixed pier, gangway, and floating dockage, and extend the seaward 8.5-foot wide float 60 feet in a northerly direction parallel to the channel. So at the end here, here's the existing fixed pier, gangway, existing floating dock system. What we're proposing is a 60-foot extension of the floating dockage at the seaward end of this complete all of these coastal structures. As I said, the extension of the floating dockage is parallel to the channel. I've highlighted it right here in this brownish orange color. The depth of the water under the proposed floats is 9 feet at mean sea level, and a mooring owned by Warren Broughton, just off right here, shown on the plan, that will be relocated in the spring as part of this project and will be properly handled by the harbor master. We received approval for the project from Steve Mello, harbor master, via an email to Mark Garrett dated September 2nd, 2025. We received favorable review comments from the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries in a letter from Amanda Davis, environmental analyst, dated September 8th, 2025. And then in addition, we propose to place armor stones on 45 linear feet of the existing revetment within the same footprint as the existing licensed structure. When they were constructing the pool, which is permitted, in the rear yard, they unearthed several large armor stones, and what we'd like to do is place them on the existing licensed revetment and with no increase in the footprint whatsoever. The record plan is a waterways license plan. It's 4 sheets. It's dated August 8th, 2025. And as you stated, the DEP file number is SE 15-2799. So I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Alan. Mark, I'd like to hear staff's comments on this proposal.
Sure. First thing to the commissioners, this is registered land. This will require wet signatures. I will have that sheet available for signing tomorrow morning, I would say after 9:30. So just be aware of that. I will also send a reminder email to you tomorrow morning. We do need wet signatures for this.
Alan, you only give registered land issues here.
Yeah, I know. It seems that way. The next one's not, so.
All right.
So, yeah, I think Alan described it pretty thoroughly, not to go over, what was said already. The harbor master initially was a little concerned about the relocation of the mooring, but that has since been resolved. And he has no opposition to this, nor did the Mass DMF comments that we received yesterday after 5 o'clock, and I forwarded to your attention this morning. Having said that, staff is recommending the issuance of a standard order of conditions as per the plan to accompany the mass license petition dated August 8th of 2025, with a modification to condition 21, which highlights compliance with harbor master requirements and Mass DMF comments. Those should be easily addressed by the applicant and their agents.
Okay. Any commissioner have any questions? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to be heard on this application? Seeing, it's so much easier. There's not that many on there right now. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, I'll entertain the motion to issue a standard order of conditions pursuant to the license plan dated August 8th. I think I got that right, 2025. With modified condition 21. So applicant will also have to be compliant with the remarks from Harbor Master and Mass DNF.
So moved.
Second.
Second the motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along, and don't forget, we have to sign this one. Moving right along. You've been patiently waiting, Bill and Deborah, but is the public hearing DEP file 15-2798, NOI 2532 on the notice of intent from William and Deborah Sinnott, care of Alan Haru, to construct a single-family house with associated driveway, grading, and utilities. The existing tennis court and arborvitae and fencing across the lot will be removed. The work is within, that's hard to say, the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland, and the applicable regs are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, and section 360-2 of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 136, lot 18. It's otherwise known as 0 Colonial Way. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Alan, you have the floor.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. And again, for the record, my name is Alan Haru. I'm a civil engineer. For this public hearing, I am here on behalf of William and Deborah Sinnott, who propose to construct a single-family house in the 100-foot buffer zone to wetland at 4 William Bradford Court. This property, when we submitted the notice of intent, had not received an address from the Department of Public Works and others in the town hall, but now we have an address, and so going forward, it is 4 William Bradford Court. Let me try to share my screen again. How's that?
Yep.
Okay. And so on the site plan, I've highlighted the property boundary in blue, and this property, so the blue property line, and then property line here. This is William Bradford Court at the bottom of the plan. The lot is on the westerly side of the cul-de-sac at 4 William Bradford Court. The bordering vegetated wetland on the southerly side of the property of the lot was delineated by Eduardo Fortes, the conservation officer, in June, and I've highlighted the bordering vegetated wetland in green. Right here is the limit of the bordering vegetated wetland. There is a tennis court on the lot which will be removed, and as a result, the impervious lot coverage will be reduced even after we construct a new house in the center of the building envelope. The tennis court you can see on the plan is quite large and will be removed. The proposed house is located in the center of the building envelope. The garage is side-loaded with a driveway on the northerly side of the lot away from the wetland, sloping towards the street. We propose a silt fence and straw wattle erosion control barrier at the limit of work across the southerly side of the lot. We responded positively to review comments from Paul Duart, senior engineer at the Department of Public Works. The revised record plan is entitled Site Plan, dated September 2nd, 2025. The DEP file number is SE 15-2798. and I'd be happy to answer your questions. There's a number of notes on the plan that have to do with requirements of the DPW for utilities. And there is a note on the plan that Bill and Deb intend to remove a row of arborvitaes or a portion of it, whatever they choose. And this fence along the frontage of the lot. And then there's a fence that went around the tennis court that will be removed, and they'd like to put a fence along the limit of work ultimately. But those are handled on notes on the plan. So the plan is dated September 2nd, 2025. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alan. Mark, I'd like to hear staff's comments.
Yes, again, Alan, I think described it thoroughly. There is, the site is currently partially forested, partially lawned with a large hard surfaced tennis court. The proposal is to remove the tennis court and to build a house. A good portion of it is within the footprint of the tennis court, so Alan is correct in his assessment that there would be no additional runoff since it's impervious to impervious. And again, going back to a previous discussion, roof runoff is generally assumed to be cleaner than pavement runoff or asphalt runoff. There is grading that slopes down towards the BVW. The driveway does drain away from the BVW. Project seems to be in consistent with buffer zone development, residential development and buffer zones. So staff is prepared to recommend a standard order of conditions as per the site plan revised and dated September 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on this application? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Commissioners, I'll now entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions on DEP file 15-2798. And it's in accordance with the plan dated September 2nd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Good
Thank
luck.
you very much.
Thank you for waiting this out. Okay, guys, now we go on to our items for discussion, and there's basically two. So Mark, you want to just describe the Lakeside Avenue and Potter Street solar?
Well, we also discussed adding a few others to the discussion today.
And we're kind of late at night here. We've gone over 2
They'll
hours.
be quick. They'll be quick. Okay, the first one, which is kind of time sensitive, which is not on the agenda, I forwarded the commissioners a copy of a plan from Mass DOT. They need our permission to access a fringe of a property that we own, the Smith Mills Park, which is right where the Pascamanset River, just to the west of the Pascamanset River at State Road. They are doing road improvements. They've been doing road improvements on State Road. And all they want to do is access a small wedge, which is actually on the road side of the stone wall that exists there. So I'm looking for a vote to allow me to sign the right of entry to that portion of our property.
Any commissioner have any questions? I'll entertain a motion to authorize the Environmental Affairs Coordinator, Town of Dartmouth Conservation Commission, to execute a letter allowing Mass DOT right of entry as requested for the Smith Mills Park.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Roll call vote. James?
Yes.
Nat?
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously.
Second item of discussion, and unfortunately, there's a typo. It was listed under enforcement issues. It is not an enforcement issue, just as an FYI. They have actually started constructing the racks for the solar panels at the Potter Street site. That's just an FYI for you folks. Couple of you sat on that long protracted hearing process, so they are under construction, so that's an FYI. The third item, which a little bit remiss, I didn't want to put it on initially because of what I thought would be a lengthy hearing tonight, but based on a department head meeting today, I felt it was important to give you an FYI. As you know, I sent out town council comments on the draft regs, which we were, should be reviewing and commenting on. And up until today, we were under the impression that we would still be doing the standard 10-day notification to the select board when and if we got to a final draft for consideration. Town administrator informed all of us that the select board is thinking of extending that 10-day notification requirement to 90 days. So we're going from just under 2 weeks to 3 months. So that basically effectively makes any kind of submittal to that, any kind of rule, policy, or regulation change effective only on 2 dates, January 1st of any given year or July 1st of any given year. It's an FYI. All I would suggest is if you have comments, get them to me. I know, James, you did send me comments and I did forward them. But just FYI, I probably will put this on the agenda for in 2 weeks for a more formal discussion. The last thing is we do have one enforcement issue. At our previous meeting, you authorized staff to put together an enforcement order for Lakeside, 38 Lakeside Avenue. That was the guy who built the beach into Lake Nokichoke. We did have a site visit last Thursday, and we issued the enforcement order. And I'm happy to say that he did have an engineer retained who was on site and prepared to do the necessary work. So again, an FYI, the EO was issued at the site visit, and they are moving ahead with the work, or moving ahead with preparing the after the fact notice of intent.
Very good. Any commissioner have anything to add to our items for discussion? And you better not. No, just kidding.
Just us now, so we can say stuff like that.
So anyway, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Liz.
Yes.
My vote is yes, that passes unanimously. Liz, welcome back and congratulations. I'm sorry your first meeting back had to be such a long one, but
That's okay. I appreciate the sentiments.
there you go. There you go. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate your attendance tonight.
Congratulations, Liz.
Congrats.
Thank you.